And I'll argue sort of a very quick response, which I call corporate judo, okay? And I think it works. And you know, when you first hear this, as they say, use the force, grasshopper, okay? And that's basically get ahead of the curve, right? So what's happened in both the Thomson Reuters situation and Fidelity is we actually created centers of excellence populated by end users. Rather than go and scream at them about, I can't believe you're putting customer data in some cloud named Voodoo in Silicon Valley, right? We say, why don't you be on the committee and actually help us wrestle these legal, regulatory, and technology? And there's a center of excellence which is now the viral point for spreading. That group then deals with risk and compliance. It's got a technical person or two, but it's pretty much run by business users who are actually, turns out, are pretty hard-assed about the whole thing when they're made responsible for this. And we have enough IT or technology there just to make sure we know when we're getting into problems or not to stop it. Finally, what we did is in this center of excellence, we put some people who constantly are running proofs of concept about how do you suck data out of Salesforce.com? How do you suck data out of these various things and bring them into data warehouses ahead of the time? And it doesn't cost much to do that, but at least we know where the problems were. Then what happens is you become an enabler and get ahead of this. The second thing we did is we used a similar thing to talk about, can we use similar technologies to generate revenues for our own company, which I call rainmaking. So let me talk about rainmaking for just a second. Now, most of you don't recognize this person. I consider him the father of software engineering. Other people would know him as Rube Goldberg, who actually was a cartoonist for the, I think, the New Yorker. You know, Rube Goldberg was famous for doing these very complicated things to get simple things done, which is how end users, unfortunately, see a lot of technology because they don't appreciate the nuances. The good news is most of our systems, certainly the systems I'm used to, when enough legacy comes in, this is not dissimilar from what their architectural diagrams look like, right? But there's good news, guys, right? Because of speeds of processors and technology in the software, you can essentially put a service-oriented architecture around it and create a cloud, okay? No one has to know, right? Now, I know that there's a whole multi-tenant thing going on, right? But that's not very hard. I mean, what you really do, okay? You know, there's like 3,000 people in the United States that would think this is funny, and you're most of them, okay? But the truth is, in fact, a lot of the stuff that banks and Fidelity put out in the market is this. You can take legacy systems today that provide very good services, cut it at a particular level, which is really sort of a systems level, and you should think of your systems not so much in these big Rube Goldberg things, but where can you put a service layer and provide these out to your customers? When I look at these kinds of change, these longbow changes, it reminds me, my daughter, when she was about 10, had to write a paper on the revolution. And so she was having trouble being inspired. So I showed her this famous picture of George Washington, and I said to her, okay, so write about what he was saying. You know, he had to motivate these people to get in this boat. It's freezing cold. He's paying them out of his own pocket. Continental Congress has turned him down. He's got to get them across this horrible river where they might drown. What did he say to them to get him to do this? And she looked at me like, you know, she said, well, like, get in the boat, okay? The pearl of wisdom, thank you very much.